choose the patient well. The patient, I think it's not a kind of exaggeration. I saw a patient 3 days back coming to my OPD asking for a tower, and the patient's age was 48 years. And he was advised somewhere for tower. So these are real difficult scenarios, how to convince the patient that not only you don't require tower, you don't require even tissue prosthesis by surgeon, you require a mechanical Lourdes valves. So plan with the patient and choose your patient well. And then your analysis is from echo to CT scan, which Dr. Manik has shown brilliantly, and we'll be talking more on those in coming presentations. Heart team is very important, not only from outstanding surgeon's input and then from medical aspects as well. And hardware, Dr. Manik showed what hardware should be there. He proctors a lot. I think when center is starting TAVI, it's not only the general TAVI hardware. So you have to have peripheral balloons, crossover seats. Many times, there is a perforation and then you don't have there's a big angulation from left to right, and you are unable to take your any stent graft or anything there, cover stent. You need a crossover seat from left groin to right. And also you need to have some, neuro intervention hardware like, plot retrievers and all. If at all you patient develops a stroke in the cath lab after TAVI. And if lab is equipped, hospital is equipped, ECMO, it has to be on standby. It should not be like now we are alarming the bell and then there is ECMO guys are coming. So basic idea is if you see high risk tower, your ECMO has to be standby. So we go through punctures first to start with, and left femoral groin puncture is the ideal way. I can't say ideal way. Now people are moving away from there. There has to be right radial or right femoral, but the punctures have to be ultrasound guided. And this I may go through the steps a little bit. So we identified the bifurcation. You can see here, beautifully you can see the bifurcation. There's a long axis view, and then we rotate the probe. There is a marker on the probe which identifies with the marker on the ultrasound machine, which can make you where it is medial or lateral. That is very important. So I will just show the puncture. This has to be in the middle of the vision. If the patient is fatty and the groin is, the thigh is big, the depth from skin to femoral artery, which you assume or can make out, that has to be distance from the probe with the stick. Now you can see exactly this the anchor puncture. Once you have the artery, just push it little down so that it becomes more coaxial when you take your wire. This is a common thing which really sometimes makes difference. Many times you puncture with the needle and then you are unable to take your wires. And majority of times if you just rotate and push it and make it more coaxial, the wire goes in. And once your access is done, you need to take the ProGlides. And I think Dr. Manik's talk is there on ProGlides and larger access. So I will be leaving this right here. So I will be talking more on the self-expandable valve deployment. And once we are done, this is also a way to do a scout from left groin and then puncture, real time. And then ProGlides are very important. And once you are in, you need to see exactly where you have punctured with a 5 French dilator. Sometimes you may miss out, or you may be a little higher, or maybe you are just at the bifurcation, it will be clarifying more clearly. And then once your access is there, you go in with a pigtail, the initial injection, and every movement of the sheath which is going up has to be in vision from the groin, from the iliac part to up. And then you cross the valve with either a straight tip Duramo or a straight tip Teflon wire, whichever you prefer. But when the obstruction, the stenosis is very tight, I prefer kind of a Teflon wire straight tip, because it gives you strength and support for your annulus, the diagnostic catheter to go inside. And then we choose the wire depending on the the anatomy. The usual workhorse wire is Safari wire, extra small, and we have Linderquist wire we use when there is a tortuous aorta. Sometimes we can use a Safari or one Linderquist in the LV, one Linderquist on the pigtail in the aorta, so that the tortuosity can be magnified. And then once we are into the LV, we negotiate the self-expanding valve. So I must appreciate here, Hydra valve is a highly flexible valve. It really goes in well. And then we have the markers. Sometimes we predilate, and the need of predilatation depends on the calcification which is there on aortic valve, and also some other factors. And what is the size which we take into account. So this is the minor axis of the annulus on CT measurement. So if someone has a 20 to 23, so 20 millimeters would be the maximum balloon size for predilatation. That is very important. Then we deploy, initially 1/3 of the valve is deployed. You can see here there is all the valves now, all the valves in their next generation, they have come up with an annular marker. They have a marker which has to be kept at annulus. So initial core valves, they did not have annular markers, they had the nodes. Now they also have in flex, they have got a marker there. In Hydra also there is the first marker, is the marker which we keep at the annulus, which you can make out by giving the contrast injection. And this is the 3 valve sizes which we get, 22, 26 and 30. And this is the height between node 0 to node first marker. Depending on the valve size, it also differs. So 5, 6, 7 is usually the way. 22 millimeter valve from 0 to the node 1, this is 5 millimeter. So this way we have to kind of make out what depth we are going into. And best way to deploy self-expanding valve, if we are concerned with the height of the deployment, is a cuspal overlap view, which gives you the maximum alignment and elongation of the non-pulmonary sinus and the membranous septum. So it's highly elongated. So exactly you can make out the depth, and you can avoid going deep and avoid pressing the membranous septum and avoiding the heart blocks. And then you come to the coplanar view. See it again that you are perfectly placed, and if you are a little above, you can't push it generally, and you have to resheath it. If you are a little deep, you can definitely make some adjustments that will make it. So that is important. Especially these are non-flared valves, Hydra valves. So some of the operators that can also tend to push it, but usual idea is valve should not be pushed in once we have deployed 1/3 or you have done the annular contact. But you can definitely pull it a little bit. So a deep implant, you can pull it a bit, and then once you are okay with that, it's all right. If you want to resheath it, you can resheath by going clockwise turns on the knob, and then redeploy at the position. So you can see here now we are going for the second, third, 2/3 of the valve deployment up to 80%, which has to be a little quick. But from all the valves which we have deployed, like Hydra, Accurate, Neo, they don't compromise your LV outflow much, and the blood pressure remains there a little bit. But for I think initial core valves, we used to see a lot of dampening, and during the 2/3 valve deployment, it was a real loss of blood pressure, so we had to be a little quick. So this is a 2/3 valve deployment, and then you have to take time. Allow the nitinol to expand, and take your things right, that you are rightly placed. Take your time, give contrast injections, ensure that things are well placed